Good morning and welcome to virtual Sunday worship with us here at the First Parish in Framingham. I am the Reverend Aaron Stockwell, Senior Minister. It's an honor and a joy to welcome you to this time set apart from all of the hustle and bustle of the world. Here, it doesn't matter your age, your race, your ethnicity, what you believe, how you move around in the world, or who you love. We welcome and celebrate everyone. First Parish in Framingham is a welcoming congregation, and First Parish in Framingham has been around since 1701. That means that we've been here for a while. We've been that place for people who are on life's journey, so wherever you are on life's journey, you're welcome here. If this is your first time joining us, I hope that you enjoy our service. If you have more questions about who we are, feel free to click the first link below. If you're watching this on a smartphone, you might need to click a different button to get more information. Immediately following today's live service, there'll be a coffee hour. The information on how to join is on the final screen. If you're watching this at another time, I hope that you do find some time at some point to join us on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. That way you can participate in the chat and also join our coffee hour. Love has held our congregation since 1701. It's a love that is larger than this building, larger than the device that I'm speaking to you on. I hope that during today's service you feel connected in some way to that love. It is a ritual when Unitarian Universalists gather together that we kindle the flame of a flaming chalice. This morning's chalice lighting comes from the International Council of Unitarian Universalists and their global chalice lighting. I share it today to help us feel connected to our wider denomination and the wider Unitarian Universalist movement. It is written by Dr. Khalil Muhim from the Unitarian Union of Northeast India. Dear divine source of creation and of all enlightenment. May this chalice be lighted in your wonderful vastness to help us stay grounded in your eternal light and righteousness. We gratefully bow down to you for everything within and around us that has shaped our individual lives and as a spiritual community. May our souls find purpose, meaning, and peace as we evolve in our thought, work, and journey here, now, and beyond. I invite you to kindle your flames at home as I light the chalice in our sanctuary, and also as the children light their chalices at home. I invite you to light your chalice. After you have done so, please type into the chat, "The chalice is lit in our home," or "The chalice is lit in my home."
Love is the doctrine of our church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve all life with compassion, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. This is our great covenant, one with another and with our God.
Our story today is called "What Do You Do with a Chance?" And it was written by Kobe Yamada and illustrated by May Bessam. You might know these books. There's lots of them. What do I do? What do you do with a problem? What do you do with a worry? But today, we're going to talk about chance. One day, I got a chance. It just seemed to show up. It acted like it knew me, as if it wanted something. I didn't know why it was here. What do you do with a chance? I wondered. It fluttered around me. It brushed up against me. It circled me as if it wanted me to grab it. I started to reach for it, but I was unsure and pulled back. And so it flew away. I thought about it a lot. I wished I had taken my chance. I realized I had wanted it, but I still didn't know if I had the courage. When another chance came around, I wasn't so sure, but I decided to try. I went to reach for it, but I missed and fell. I was embarrassed. I felt foolish. It seemed like everyone was looking at me. I decided I never wanted to feel like this again. So after that, whenever a chance came along, I ignored it. And the more I ignored them, the less they came around. Until one day, I noticed that I hadn't seen a chance in quite a while. It was as if they had all disappeared. I started to worry, what if I don't get another chance? I know I acted like I didn't care, but the truth was, I did. I still wanted to take that chance, but I was afraid, and I wasn't sure if I would ever be brave enough. Then I thought, maybe I don't have to be brave all the time. Maybe I just need to be brave for a little while at the right time. I realized it was up to me. I promised myself that if I ever got another chance, I wasn't going to hold back. If I got another chance, I was going to be ready. Then, one seemingly ordinary day, I saw something shining far off in the distance. Is it possible? I hoped. Could this be my chance? I had to find out. I ran as hard and as fast as I could toward it. I don't know how to explain it, but the second I let go of my fears, I was full of excitement. It wasn't that I was no longer afraid, but now my excitement was bigger than my fear. As I got closer, I could see that this was a really huge chance. But this time, I was ready. As it came by, I reached out and grabbed it. I held on with all my might. It felt so good to soar, to fly, to be free. I now see that when I hold back, I miss out. And I don't want to miss out. There's just so much I want to see and do and discover. So what do you do with a chance? You take it, because it might just be the start of something incredible. The end. So what do we do with the chance that we have before us? The chance to think of ourselves as a new church, the chance to think of ourselves as a new congregation. What are the chances that we might just look out and grab hold of and see? And like the boy in our story, we might reach out and fall. A chance may not work out, but maybe, just maybe, we'll find a really huge chance and jump onto the wings of that chance, and something incredible will happen.
Now is the time in our service, if you're watching it live, to share the things which weigh deepest on our hearts, our milestones and happy and sad occasions. We have this time together because we know that joy shared is joy expanded, and a sorrow shared can feel as though someone is lifting a burden. During this time of online gathering, do remember that privacy cannot be guaranteed. So if there's a joy or sorrow that's tender, but you need someone to know about it, please feel free to send me an email.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Stay with me, stay with with me, stay with me, oh my soul. Stay with me, stay with me, stay with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
Let us now turn our attention to our breath in and our breath out. Let us firmly ground ourselves. Feel the connection to Mother Earth. O Spirit of life and love, named and unnamed, but who calls each one of us by our true first name, which is beloved. I give thanks for this community, for the leaders who strive to make decisions wisely and well. Theirs is a ministry of administration and leadership, which I am grateful for. I'm grateful for the staff that I get to collaborate with and share the leadership and ministry of this congregation with. I am grateful too that our world begins to inch closer to opening as more of us get vaccinated. May we feel that sense of relief, but also still be vigilant. Stay vigilant because we know that in our world there are still people dying from COVID-19. People living with long-haul COVID who will be affected for years to come. More than, 560,000 people dead from the coronavirus. I pray for their families who miss their parent, their spouse, their brother, their child, their teacher, or their friend. May their loss not be forgotten. I pray for peace in all of the war-torn parts of our world, whether in the Middle East or in homes ravaged by domestic violence and intimate partner violence. May all those who are ill and lonely or living with addiction find comfort and know peace. May we work to bend the arc of the universe towards justice, ending oppression in all of its forms. From time to time, it feels like we fail to live up to our highest ideals. We fumble with our words. We are clumsy in our relationships. That's fine. We are human and we make mistakes. May we always be reminded that we are loved and lovable. And because of that breath and our connection to Mother Earth, may we be reminded there's always time to repair broken relationship always time to say, I'm sorry. I say these words and do all things for love's sake. Let us sit in the quiet of our own separate homes so that we might listen, rest, or pray the prayers of our own hearts. As we end our time of contemplation, meditation, and prayer, let us take 3 breaths. A breath to remind ourselves that we are powerful. A breath to remind ourselves to be empathetic. And a breath to remind ourselves to be kind. We have not passed the offering plate in many weeks, but I hope you still remember our congregation in your generous giving. Brandock Lovely, a Unitarian Universalist minister, wrote these words. He said, "Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to so many, a community of memory and hope, for we are now the keepers of the dream." The morning offering will now be joyfully given and gratefully received. You can click the second link below to give electronically to this self-sustaining congregation. Please do remember we are still collecting pledges. This pledging helps the Board of Assessors fulfill their fiduciary responsibility to create a budget that is realistic. If you have not turned in your pledge, please do so. Thank you for your generosity.
Things to Do in the Belly of the Whale by Dan Albergotti. Measure the walls, count the ribs, notch the long days. Look up for blue sky through the spout. Make small fires with the broken hulls of fishing boats. Practice smoke signals. Call old friends and listen for echoes of distant voices. Organize your calendar. Dream of the beach. Look each way for the dim glow of light. Work on your reports. Review each of your life's 10 million choices. Endure moments of self-loathing. Find the evidence of those before you. Destroy it. Try to be very quiet and listen for the sound of gears and moving water. Listen for the sound of your heart. Be thankful that you are here, swallowed with all hope, where you can rest and wait. Be nostalgic. Think of all the things you did and could have done. Remember treading water in the center of the still night sea, your toes pointing again and again down, down into the black depths.
Measure the walls, count the ribs, notch the long days. Look up for blue sky through the spout. Make small fires with the broken hulls of fishing boats. Practice smoke signals. Call old friends and listen for distant echoes of voices. Organize your calendar. Dream of the beach. Look each way for the dim glow of light. Work on your reports. Review each of your life's 10 million choices. Endure moments of self-loathing. Find the evidence of those before you. Destroy it. Try to be very quiet and listen for the sounds of gears and moving water. Listen for the sound of your heart. Be thankful that you are here, swallowed with all hope, where you can rest and wait. Be nostalgic. Think of all the things you did and could have done. Remember treading water in the center of the still night sea, your toes pointing again and again down, down into the black depths. Here ends our reading for today. These days, I feel as though I am at the top of that first hill of roller coaster, poised to go down that tallest hill, but I am stuck. I am ready to move on, but I can't. Or I'm nervous to move on. Or I feel like I'm at the beginning of a hiking trip with the map of my trek out in front of me, my backpack heavy on my back. I can see the contour lines of the map, and yet I don't know how my body will react to the ups and downs, the mountains and the valleys. Perhaps we are all on top of that highest hill, that first hill of a roller coaster. Perhaps we are all ready to move from one part of our life to the next. How do you prepare for that change? Now, I know that Many of you have had a lot of life happen to you. You are well seasoned. When a season of your life is coming to an end, I wonder if any of you are intentional about how you will enter into that new phase of your life. Whenever I feel like I am in a new beginning, or even before that, in a liminal time, there is usually a moment where I think to myself, there are things in this new time I want to do differently. There are also things I want to keep exactly the same. There are things that I want to stop doing. And yet, when push comes to shove, I've not been intentional about having this conversation with myself. Over my life, I've moved to a new area 3 times, gone through divorce, started new jobs, and I've never intentionally sat down and thought to myself, what do I want to try to do that's new? What do I want to keep doing? What do I want to stop doing? I think one of the reasons why we don't have that conversation is that often we don't realize that we have entered into that new stage of our life. Our seasons just kind of blend from late summer, August, into early October, fall. We don't really recognize it. Sure, I've tried to learn something from each failure, pain, and loss, but the reflection isn't that intentional. But perhaps now is the time to be. When all of this is over, who do you want to be? When this is all over, what is the thing that you will do first? Perhaps what was the first thing you did when you first felt that vaccine euphoria? Or what do you hope to do? Propelled by that most common side effect of the vaccine, an overwhelming feeling of hope. When this is all over, what did you learn about yourself that you want to carry on into your new life? After any traumatic event, I believe that there is an incredibly human response to want to reset, to want to go back to the way things were, to revert back to normally normal that was unequally distributed. This chance is perhaps a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to radically rethink things. I don't know if the before or after line has ever so starkly been drawn. Arundhati Roy, a novelist, reminds us that historically, pandemics have forced humans to break with the past and imagine their world anew. This one is no different. It is a portal, a gateway between one world and the next, where we can choose to walk through it, dragging the carcasses of our prejudice and hatred, our avarice, our databanks and dead ideas, our dead rivers and smoky skies. We can leave that behind us. Or we can take that rather, or we can walk through lightly with little luggage, ready to imagine another world and ready to fight for it. Now, I personally prefer to call whatever comes next the next normal rather than the new normal. New, I think, implies creation from nothing. But we each carry our next normal already inside of us. Think of it in computer terms as an upgrade to our operating system. I think that is the work of reflection, and it is essential to do right now as we prepare for our next normal, the normal that we will live into when things begin to open up again. I think the keys to creating this are to sit down one day and journal about the things that you miss or you don't miss from the before times. Then journal about the things that you hated and enjoyed about this time of shelter in place. What were the things that you did? And then go a little bit deeper. Why did you like those activities? What from them made you come alive? What energized you or quieted you? What was behind them? From those lists, you will have an idea of the things to pay attention to as the next normal unfolds. You will have a list of the things you need to jettison from your life, as well as the things that you need to hold on to dearly. Now, while I came up with this process in April, Arthur C. Brooks, in a column for The Atlantic Online, expands it. This was recently published. He suggests to make a 2x2 matrix, with the columns being what you like and what you dislike, and the rows being pre-pandemic and pandemic times. Brooks wants you to focus on happiness. So he believes that the better questions to ask are, what did I dislike from before the pandemic and don't miss? And what do I like from the pandemic times that I will miss? From that 2x2 matrix, we can discern what are the things to leave behind and what are the things to keep close. As for me, I've been thinking about some things. I fell into routines that were helpful early on that provided me a sense of stability. Think back especially to the first days of the pandemic, and in moments of anxiety and fear, I remember thinking to myself, well, you're going to learn a lot about yourself right now. Yeah, I found some hobbies that were sustaining. My family became a little bit more connected than we ever had been since moving apart. Even though we were spread across the country early in the pandemic, we had game nights on Zoom, which, I gotta say, I do miss. That ability to be social without leaving my house was kind of nice. For one, am glad that I didn't get my usual fall cold. I hope that we can continue to use masks as that non-pharmaceutical intervention going forward. Something that those in our midst who have compromised immune systems have had to do for years. I also hope we continue to have conversations about risk, open and honest ones. If you had a quarantine or a pod, you probably talked a lot about the risks that you were taking, how you were feeling. You canceled plans if you weren't feeling good. You made calculations about risks, what was an acceptable risk and what wasn't. I recognize that some of these conversations are the one that gay men, especially during the height of the AIDS pandemic, had often with partners. If we leave this time being more aware of how our actions can impact the health of others, that'd be a good thing. Now, even after all of this work of reflection, you will still feel uneasy. That's normal. I can't imagine how I will feel the first time I go into a grocery store without a mask after wearing one on every trip. I can't imagine the joy I will see the first time I see this sanctuary filled with people. The first time I preach, not to a camera, but to you gathered here. I also know that I will feel anxious. As we go to imagine this next normal, there's a very real desire to return to original normal, to how things might have been on, say, March 8th in the sanctuary. The Reverend Dr. J. Anthony Lloyd, pastor of the Greater Framingham Community Church at our interfaith clergy meeting on Wednesday, wondered out loud, saying, we don't have the capacity to imagine. We want to go back to March 8th, 2020. We won't be there quite yet. We've had folks log in and watch these services from South Carolina, Florida, Maine, Michigan, and California. We've had folks call into coffee hour from similar places. Yes, technology is differently accessible and it does have its problems. I'll also say that the church pundits have been suggesting online streamed services for years. And that technical switch may help us reach more people, but I think we also have to make adaptive changes as well to ensure that our congregation continues to be a beacon for decades to come. We are inching ever closer to a world that might feel like it's normal again. Last week I mentioned these words from Sonia Renee Taylor. We will not go back to normal. Normal never was. Our pre-corona existence was not normal other than we normalized greed, inequity, exhaustion, depletion, extraction, disconnection, rage, hoarding, hate, and lack, we should not long to return. We have been given the opportunity to stitch a new garment, one that fits all of humanity and nature. Mike Small, inspired by Sonia Renee Taylor, says, if previous generations faced the harrowing experience of war, we are experiencing the trauma of pandemic and the new cultures it is throwing up. The task for later, which is now, will be to challenge inevitability, cultivate outrage, and imagine different futures. But it will also be to reorient towards doing less. And I don't think that Sonia Renee Taylor and Mike Small are talking about changes like wearing masks or live streaming services. I think they are talking about big structural change instead. They're talking about a new garment, not just making patches to mend the worn parts. Susan Beaumont, an American Baptist minister, literally wrote the book on leading in liminal times, titled How to Lead When You Don't Know Where You're Going. She writes this: in a liminal season, the only way forward is through the uncertainty and chaos. And the leader's challenge is not to eliminate the ambiguity and the chaos, but to embrace emergence and stand with people during their confusion. This week, both sections of Reading Poetry as a Spiritual Practice looked at the poem Lee and I read earlier, Things to Do in the Belly of the Whale. And while I'm not going to share what those participants said, partially because I didn't write it down, but also partially because they didn't know it was going to go into a sermon, I'll say this, that when I heard this poem first several years ago, I just thought it was funny, a clever reference to Jonah and the whale from the Bible. But now it feels like a poem about being stuck in a prolonged liminal time, where at first you just find ways to pass the time. But then when you realize you have the time to review all your life's choices, you begin to think about rescue. Friends, any return to normal will likely be slower than you'd like. That transition from this normal to the next normal is going to take time. And that is okay. We need to heal from the trauma of this last year. It will take time. We cannot think ourselves out of trauma, but we can journey together. It will be tough, but we will journey out of it. I encourage you, in this time when we are betwixt and between the old normal, living in pandemic times, and entering our next normal, take some time to notch the long days and measure the walls and imagine what comes next. May it be so, and amen.
Tranquil streets that meet and merge, drift low as one to seek the sea. Our kindred hearts and minds unite to build a church that shall be free. Free from the bonds that bind the mind to narrow thought and lifeless greed. Free from the social code that fails to serve the cause of human need. A freedom that reveres the past, that trusts the dawning future more, and bids the soul in search of truth adventure boldly and explore. Prophetic church
Before we log off, please do extinguish your candles that you lit earlier in the service and type into the chat as a way to show your commitment to live this faith. I carry the flame, or we carry the flame. Go in peace, friends. As we end our time together, I send you forth with these words from Unitarian Universalist minister Mark Bellatini. Go in peace. Live simply, gently at home in yourselves. Act justly. Speak justly. Remember the depth of your own compassion. Forget not your power in the days of your powerlessness. Do not desire to be wealthier than your peers, and stint not your hand of charity. Practice forbearance. Speak the truth or speak not. Take care of your bodies, for they are good gifts. Crave peace for all people in the world, beginning with yourselves, and go as you go with the dream of that peace alive in your heart.